water, shade, food, nor shelter of any kind. The heat index at the time, they say, was 114. After escapes and uprisings at juvenile lockups across Louisiana, help is on the way for understaffed guards, as we hear from Michelle Southern in the WWL State Capitol Bureau.
Governor John Bel Edwards announces he will send Louisiana State Police troopers to the Department of Corrections officers to help with the staffing shortage at the Bridge City Center for Youth and Swanson Center for Youth in Monroe. Edwards says congressional and probation and parole officers from the DOC and LSP will secure the perimeter of the facilities to prevent further escaping of inmates.
Here's Sean Ross with WWL Sports.
It appears the Saints are still looking for depth at running back. Alvin Kamara is expected to sit a couple of games for his involvement in a fight during Pro Bowl weekend last year. Cajun Cannon Bobby Aber believes the player to pick up the load when AK is out may not even be on the roster just yet.
I think the Saints will keep searching for that running back to complement Alvin Kamara and obviously the veteran Mark Ingram right now. And we have a lot of young guys, but again, no one really proven as far as who you're going to lean upon when Alvin Kamara eventually gets suspended.
And the payday for Zion Williamson could be happening real soon. That's according to NBA insider Mark Stein. Zion and the Pelicans are expected to agree to terms on an extension very early in NBA free agency. The Pels are expected to give Zion the Supermax deal, 5 years and up to $186 million. The league year starts July 1st. Sean Ross, WWL Sports.
Now, your Garcia Roofing forecast.
And happy Father's Day. It is a warm and muggy start to our morning with temperatures climbing into the upper 90s today. Heat advisory goes into effect, and we're looking at our heat indices between 108 to 112 degrees. A stray shower thunderstorm possible, but many locations remaining dry. As we start off the work week, it's going to be another hot and humid day. Lots of sunshine around, and temperatures climbing into the mid-90s, feeling like the triple digits, and a 30% coverage for showers and storms. From your local weather expert forecast center, I'm WWL-TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan.
And I'm Dave Cohen, WWL First News.
From WWL, the news, talk, sports powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico. Underwritten by Nico and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers talk and text line, 504-260-1870, or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nico and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, good morning. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Give us a call, 260-1870, or text us on the Oakland Heart Talk and text line at 260-1870. Good morning, Albert.
Hey, Doug. Good morning. How are you?
Good. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day to you. I was hoping to have a little Father's Day show, so if any of our listening audience wants to call in and just wish their dad Happy Father's Day or tell a quick story about their dad and why he's a great dad, we'd love to hear from you. Fatherhood is so important, and we see so much crime and everything else, and I think if fathers were around and fathers were doing what they were supposed to be doing, there'd be a lot less of that.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, later in the show, I was going to do a correlation between what's going on in New Orleans and, Father's Day and the lack of fathers and that sort of thing. But yeah, I wish all the fathers in my family, my dad, Frank, and brother Dean, and our son-in-law to be, he will be a father. So our son-in-law, he is a son-in-law, but he'll be a father to be. Happy Father's Day. And, good fathers in this family. So, I guess also for Father's Day, it's sort of the unofficial start of summer, as you can see when it's about almost 100 degrees right now. It'll be 100 degrees today.
Yeah.
But also, this is sort of if LSU was playing, you see, I'm still not over LSU losing 2 weeks ago. The College World Series would be this weekend. And ideally, I'd be watching LSU playing in the second round of the College World Series after they won their first game on Friday. But that's not happening. So now we're sort of in the desert of local sports. There's really not a lot going on in local sports. And the Saints, I guess the only thing that's really going on is the Saints. You get the NBA draft, I think, is Thursday. And then you have the Saints finishing up minicamp. And tell me this. What do you think about the black helmets? Did you see the black helmets the Saints are going to use this year?
Yeah, I like them. It mixes it up a little bit. You know, they look pretty good.
They had.
But you're not a big fan?
Oh, I love them. I think they're great. They had the black helmets. I think came out originally, and I know the story firsthand. 1969 preseason. At the time, they had 6 preseason games, so they wore the black helmets for 5 preseason games, and then the NFL nixed it because the Saints did not get approval from what was then the properties department and for the NFL to make the modification in order to have the black helmets. So in other words, they didn't get it approved from corporate. And they had to go back to the gold helmets. And so it was just 5 days during preseason. And so obviously this time they're doing it right.
Yeah, Doug, you know some stuff that means really not a whole lot.
No, it does. I have a head full of useless knowledge.
It's amazing. It's amazing. My brother made that comment the other day. He said, Doug's knowledge of all of these, sports trivia and things of that nature, he said it's amazing.
That one came from actually Bill Becknell and John Meekum himself. And Bill. Okay. So Bill was when I was working over there. I used to carry everybody's suitcase back then and get them coffee, and I'd get them pens and paper or whatever they needed. And so in between doing that, they were always telling old stories that I think were mostly true, or maybe just a little exaggerated. But so I just took little mental notes about the old Saints and what just the old stories. One of the interesting stories that I heard was, and this is sort of have a legal component to it. One of the Saint Scouts in the mid '70s took disability because they had a disability of blindness, unable to see. So they went from being a scout to taking disability for blindness, which is not surprising given their records in the mid '70s. That's not so that says it all. But
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's true. So they
those are some links. I think it's just it's amazing. It's just about organizational competency, right? It's players can come and go, but when you have an organization that is run properly, that you have the right general manager, the right director of player personnel, the right coaching, all of a sudden you've got a chance every year, and some of these, I think the John Meekum era, I think he wanted to get a little too involved and made it more difficult for his coaches to do what they wanted to do. But now I think the Saints have a front office that, again, the coaching staff obviously is still yet to be seen, but I think they were left in very good hands. And just, I got a feeling that, for a long time, this organization is going to finish in the lights or be vying for a division title or whatever as they move forward. And that's just, you look at these local teams like the Cleveland Browns or the Jets or these teams that just cannot get it together. It's such a nice change from all of those lean years where you never even made a playoff berth to now being a contender just about every year. It just speaks volumes for the Saints front office.
The system, the process, the system, just same system that Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, all those great programs have a system where basically the players are, for the most part, interchangeable, plug and play. And I think one of the things about the Saints the first 20 years, which applies to all businesses. I experienced this personally, is you have to learn a business from the bottom up and not the top down. And if you learn it from the top down, chances are you're going to fail. And if you learn the business from the top up, and you see a lot of, Mickey Loomis, I know I did a contract with him in 1991 when he was with Seattle. And he was basically a business manager who worked his way, up under Randy Mueller with the Seahawks. Randy Mueller came to the Saints, and Mickey Loomis learned the organization from the bottom up. I think he started out as a bookkeeper, basically, or accountant. And that's why he understands every aspect of the organization after 30 some odd years. And he understands what it takes. But it was, a lot of blood and sweat within that organization rather than coming into it and trying to take it over from the top down. And that's why I think that they've been very, very, very successful. The interesting thing this year is you had Sean Payton as the coach the last 15 years, 16 years. I think his greatest attribute was he was a great communicator. Each week, he would figure out a theme for the team on how to motivate them and how to communicate that. And he did that in some very flamboyant ways. And he learned that from his mentor, Coach Parcells. He did the same thing. And it'll be interesting to see how Coach Allen communicates with his team. He's got a different style. But I think that's the most important aspect of being a coach is communication. You can have a lot of brilliant ideas and you could have a lot of football knowledge, but how do you communicate that in a way that it sticks with the players and they receive it? And that's not a wild card, but it'll be interesting to see what is Dennis Allen's style and how effective it is.
Well, the other thing, I think you hit the nail on the head, too. You mentioned the word motivate. Every one of these guys was all state in high school, all conference, all whatever in college. They've been at the top of their game. Every one of them can play. And it's just a question of getting them to play every week, every down, and getting them to practice hard, getting them to, know where to be on the field. All of those things, and that's really, you got an X's and O's guys that's going to call the plays on the field, but your head coach, if he can motivate you to play your best every down, you're going to win a lot of games. And I think Sean Payton, I think people wanted to play for him. He had that reputation. They knew that, what he was telling them was correct. It's funny. I have a little coffee group. We meet in the mornings and talk about all kinds of things. And one of the things that, one of these guys was Lance Bouchard. He was on the show, a month or so ago. But he was talking about high school baseball. And he said, if you get there and you're the coach and all of a sudden, the kid comes up and says, well, wait a minute, that's not what my batting coach told me to do. That's not, because all these kids have gone through the All-Stars. They've been in competitive sports since they were 5. And so now, and so they're second guessing their coaches. And, I think when you have a reputation like a Belichick or Sean Payton or, Bill Parcells back in the day of winning, you have a better opportunity to convince these players who've been coached all of their lives that, hey, this is the better way to do it. And they can look and say, well, gee whiz, the proof must be in the pudding because they've won a Super Bowl or two, or they've won a lot of games. It's hard to build that reputation, but I think the Saints are pretty much there if Dennis Allen can make that transition as the head coach, and keep that moving forward.
And and we were joking about the Saints having the scout who took disability for being blind back in the 70s, but in essence, now you have all the teams that look at all the same players. As far as from scouting, from college, also even free agents who are who have experience. in the NFL, is being able to pick out a certain attribute in these players that the other teams don't see, and using them in a way that they have a competitive advantage over the other 31 teams. And I think that's the other, with Jeff Ireland, I think they're all looking at the same players. They're all receiving the same reports. And, what is the vision for that particular player and within the context of their team? And they just do that really, really well. And I think that that's why they are successful right now, and sort of a plug and play. And it's interesting with the Saints; they do some head scratching moves that you're like, okay, I see it now, but nobody, we didn't see it before, and a lot of the competition did. But the interesting thing about the NFL this year is there's going to be a team like Jacksonville. I'm going to say the Jets, somebody like maybe the Giants, or somebody who was down and out last year is going to make a run in the playoffs and make a run for the Super Bowl. That's how closely competitive they are. I mean, there's not a big difference between Jacksonville and the Rams in talent. There is some, but you can overcome it quickly in a very short period of time with the right coaching and a couple of players. So that's what makes the NFL great, and that's why, if you're not the best of the best as far as coaching and staying ahead of it, you'll be eaten up and chewed out very, very quickly. So that's the exciting part of this year. And you have 31 teams who think they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm taking out 30. I'm taking out Atlanta and the Jets, because I don't think anybody thinks that Atlanta or the Jets are going to the Super Bowl. But I hear the music.
And just the motivational aspect of it and making them play. And one of the things that the Saints are very good at, and using that, I think, to their advantage, is selecting players in late rounds.
Oh, yes.
Where all of a sudden that player is going to say, you go into that kid and say, hey, look, you got selected in the 7th round, or you're a free agent. You didn't get selected at all. Go prove to the world that you can play this game. Have that chip on your shoulder. Go in and let people know that, hey, you're so much better than everybody thought you were, and then get that big payday one day.
Right. Well, the Saints.
Telling me to go pick for fantasy. Never pick a guy in a contract year. I mean, always pick a guy in a contract year. Never pick a guy just sign the big contract.
Right. Well, the Saints tell them.
Say this about. From every industry, your biggest obstacle to your next success is your last success. And when you all of a sudden got your big paycheck, you got your money. It's a rare athlete that can turn that into, I'm going to continue working as hard as I've always worked. And
doesn't lie.
But so funny ways to motivate people, and like Tom Brady, right? I always wanted to prove people that I shouldn't have been that late of a round pick.
That's right. They go by what they see and not where they were drafted. All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your Weekend Lawyers. We'll start talking law at some point in this show, right after this brief timeout.
It terrifies me to think that a maniac might enter their school.
An 18-year-old civilian, as opposed to an 18-year-old soldier,
Start shooting guns at him.
is a totally different thing. I mean, the hypocrisy and the double standard is kind of unreal.
Biden keeps saying he understands.
Inequity continues to rise.
But he's
Okay, last spot is Big Lou.
Stories that matter.
Wife number 2.
Prices, gas prices.
I would love to tell my boss, I'm not coming in today because gas is just too expensive.
On WWL, the News Talk Sports Leader.
Bobby Hebert, KJ Cannon here. This baseball season, swing for the fences on FanDuel Sportsbook in June. Right now, new customers get $200 in free bets guaranteed. When you place your first $5 bet, just sign up with the promo code Hebert to get in on the action. FanDuel lets you bet the money line, home run props, strikeout totals, and so much more. Plus, you can combine your bets for an even bigger payday with same-game parlay. Look, you could build out a same-game parlay for a game you like, or your local team, or who's going to hit the first home run, or who's going to hit a home run in the game. How many strikeouts a pitcher will get. If you haven't tried FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. Just join the promo code ABEAR, that's HEBERT, and turn a $5 bet into $200 in free bets, win or lose. Exclusively on FanDuel Sportsbook app. FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of WWL Radio.
21 plus and present in Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Remember the slogan, "There's a great work of art in every box from Oakland Heart"? Classic New Orleans commercial, right? But did you ever wonder what really goes into every box from Oakland Heart? We'll give you a hint. The jewelry itself is only part of it. With our team, customer service is an art too. Our experts make you feel like family. They answer all your questions, empowering you, giving you confidence in your decision. According to an online review from Elizabeth, there's nothing Oakland Heart won't attempt to do for their customers. And then there's the fact that every piece of jewelry from Oakland Heart is of better quality, like no other, at every price point. Chances are your mother, maybe even your grandmother told you that. Oakland Heart provides an experience and service that is an art form in itself. Then in the hands of our award-winning designers and craftsmen, the real magic happens. Artistry, expertise, passion, exceptional service. That's what's inside every box from Oakland Heart Jewelers on Metairie Road.
At Diamonds Direct, right now, there's nothing standing in your way of owning the piece of jewelry you've been dreaming of. No down payment and no finance charges for 5 whole years on any purchase. Take the amazing Diamonds Direct price you're used to, divide by 60, and that's your payment. It's a smart way to buy. Keep your money in your pocket and still add that amazing ring, band, or bracelet to your collection. Even the upgrade you've been wanting. 5 years, 0 interest on any purchase. Only at Diamonds Direct. Get all the details at diamondsdirect.com on approved credit.
We're all on this planet together. So join Odyssey and find your one thing. June is the month to make your pet green. Plastic isn't just harmful to the environment, but it can be harmful to your pets too. Don't buy dog and cat toys made out of plastic. Instead, look for toys made with natural materials like cotton, rope, wood, or bamboo. Even better, make toys out of old t-shirts, socks, or towels. Your dog or cat will love your upcycled toy just as much. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-859-3220. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on...
Okay, here we go.
Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
All things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico on WWL and Odyssey Station. Connect now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. This is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads. And if you want to call in, as Albert suggested, and tell a story about your dad, call us at 260-1870 and wish him happy Father's Day. Yeah.
I got to with that offer we're going to hear from Justin.
Justin, yes, I'm sure. We
hear stories about his dad when it's not Father's Day.
Right, that's right. It's Father's Day every weekend for Justin. That's for sure. Absolutely. Now, it was very interesting. We were talking with the client today. I'm going to tie this up in a bow, but he was talking about they sell equipment, construction equipment in IT type of equipment in South Louisiana. And what they have in their personnel manual to all the salesmen is a directive not to get gas in Orleans Parish. I think they're based out of St. Tammany Parish. So they have a directive that If you need gas on the way to a sales call, please get it in St. Tammany Parish or when you cross the parish line to Jefferson Parish. Due to the crime and in an effort to keep his salesmen safe, which is extraordinary if you just think about that on so many different levels. On top of that, I was reading an article that named New Orleans the murder capital of the United States based on per capita. You know, if you did a per capita analysis per 100,000 people. Now, a lot of people believe that, you know, if you have, you know, stronger gun control and all that kind of stuff, this will stop that'll help the problem, which, you know, most of the high murder cities have very strict gun control laws. But if there is one correlation a lot of people don't understand between all this crime is the lack of fathers participating in their families and being in the household. If you really want to get down to what is causing this in the long term, now you have to deal with it in the short term. You have to deal with it in the sense that you do have to make the streets safe. You have to give, you know, more funding to the police. You have to get a DA who actually prosecutes criminals, and you have to have a mayor who doesn't hide and cower under her desk when it comes to the issue of crime like the one we have in New Orleans. But you have to do that in the short term. But in the long term, in order to address the problem, and I'll say I don't know, I have an idea on how you address the short term, but the long term is you just need fathers who take responsibility for their children. In the court system, you know, Michelle and Katie and our firm do a lot of family law. A lot of the court system, you're dealing with fathers in the domestic range of family law who aren't taking responsibility for their children and having children and not being, you know, present for them, not being responsible for them, not being holding their kids accountable in school and other ways. And that is probably the number one reason we have the problem that we have in New Orleans. And that's the number one reason why you have companies saying, avoid New Orleans like the plague. Don't even get gas in New Orleans because it's so dangerous. And I mean, I just wanted to get your comments on that, Albert.
Well, and I agree. I mean, you know, fathers, you know, golly, my father's influence on me, I could take a whole program every week and talk about that. He was an amazing man. I died when I was 18 years old. And, you know, there was discipline in the house. You know, there was, if I didn't do a certain thing, there were consequences. And, you know, it's amazing to me that they were arresting these 13, 14, 15-year-old kids at 2 o'clock in the morning to doing whatever. It's like, where are their parents? Where's their mother? Where's their father? Why are they out on the streets at 13, 14 years old at 2 o'clock in the morning? You know, nothing good is going to happen at that time. Sorry, you got to stay home. And just a little bit of that would probably go a long way. And honestly, not just protect the citizens, but protect those kids. You know, they're young, they're stupid, they're making stupid mistakes. And there's no one there telling them, hey, you've got to stay home. You've got to, you know, act differently and be more responsible. And you know, and I think it starts with parenting. And if we don't have parenting, and if everything's, oh, the bad policeman did this to my kid, or, you know, it's everybody else's fault, it's the system's fault. No, it's you know, you can parent your child. You can, you know, you can be a father and go make sure that your child's not making the mistakes you made, perhaps. And it's something. And look, this crosses racial lines. This is not a commentary on any race whatsoever. This is a commentary on parenting, and, you know, whether you know, it's some little kid in Nebraska, you know, and if he's out there without a father and he can do what he wants and stays out to whatever he wants, the chances of him getting in trouble and then eventually going to jail are going to just skyrocket. So it's just so important to be a parent for your child. And what, a kid's going to make mistakes, or kids still going to do stupid stuff? Absolutely. I know I did. But again, I knew that there was nothing that the system was going to do to me that my parents weren't. I mean, I was more afraid to come home and have to tell them, some stupid thing that I did. So it's just important to have that, and I don't think that we do. And I think it's people are too quick to blame the system and throw money at it.
Well, and also too, I don't think, and this is not talked about in the mainstream media, or the political narratives that are flying around, but the fact that there's so many families, especially in urban areas, where they don't have fathers participating, creates such a strain on the criminal justice system, and also creates a strain within the family law system, in the sense that the consequences and the outlying actions that occur because there's not fathers there, and the juvenile court system, probably, I would say 80 or 90% of the youth who get in trouble probably don't have an active father in their house right now. I'm saying 87, a high percentage. And that provides a great strain on the criminal justice system. It creates a great strain on these, family law judges. And really, they are unsolvable in the court system. I mean, all the court system can manage the dysfunction, manage the consequences, manage the difficulties that come from that. But it's not solvable within the court system. And if you're looking for the court system to solve it, you're going to be sadly disappointed. But if you could have one factor that is common to all these situations involving, youth or even young adults, is probably not having a father present in their life. And, especially young men, they need that. I mean, they respond to fathers. They respond to father figures. That's why you see a lot of these, football players who went on to play college football and pro football. They have such high regard for their coaches. It's because they're craving for that father figure to give them discipline, to give them order, and to inspire them to be greater than they think they could be themselves. And so, I think there's not a lot of correlation that is drawn between a lot of the issues that you have in the criminal justice system and the fact you don't have fathers who are guiding, a lot of these young men who are in trouble, or even if they were older and get in trouble, it's because they didn't have a lot of good guidance. And I think that probably needs to be discussed more rather than, as Albert, you say, throwing money at it.
Yep.
So, all right, let's go to a break. We'll get to law, probably Hurricane Ida issues when we get back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief.
If you love the Newell Norman Show and want to hear more conservative views like yours, don't miss Red Meat Roundup, a brand new Odyssey podcast that drops every Friday. You'll hear views from across the U.S. about politics, crime, law and order, and more, rounded up in an assortment of the tastiest bits of conservative talk. Red Meat Roundup. Check it out now at WWL.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Mike D here for BetMGM. BetMGM is pitching baseball fans a chance to swing for the fences. On Sunday, you can place a $25 one-game parlay on any Major League Baseball game, and you'll receive a $10 free bet that you can use on any sport, regardless of your bet's outcome. Log into your account or download the app and sign up with BetMGM to get a $10 free bet to use on any sport when you place a $25 one-game parlay on any Major League Baseball game. Turn game time into showtime with the king of sportsbooks. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions.
Must be 21 years of age or older to wager. Louisiana only. New and existing customer offer. All promotions are subject to qualification and eligibility requirements. Rewards issued as non-withdrawable free bets or side credit. Free bets expire 7 days from issuance. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with Samstown Shreveport Casino.
What is it that makes people do the things they do? To be back on the bayou. Once our neurosurgeons put Landon's brain seizures behind him. After our pediatric surgery superheroes fixed Quentin's heart and made it...
Here, one short one after Babel, and we'll go live.
Beat breast cancer. Whatever your reasons are for doing the things you do, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Health. Long live you. Learn more at ochsner.org/longliveyou.
Is your Hurricane Ida insurance company still playing games with you or giving you the runaround? Are you still dealing with multiple adjusters, unreturned phone calls, duplicate requests for information, and chronic underpayment, even non-payment? Are you emotionally exhausted? We can help. Call me, Doug Sunseri, longtime WWL radio host and attorney at Nico and Sunseri Law Firm in Metairie and Mandeville at 504-837-1304. After so many years of you paying insurance premiums, we'll make sure your insurance company pays up.
Before you know it, those brutal hot days of summer will be beating you into the ground with the heat and the humidity. So why don't you call Nash Heating and Air today and let them come out and check that air conditioning system to make sure it is working efficiently and dependably for when you need it most. Nash Heating and Air, been around for 50 years, family owned and operated. They put a new system in my house 2 years ago, and I was satisfied completely. Call them, 504-835-4440, or go to nashac.com.
The following is a commercial announcement.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station simply to play the music you love. Text LOCAL to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Ramsey's Diamond Jewelers can show you more diamonds in one place at one time than has ever been seen in Louisiana.
And we're knee-deep in engagement rings.
Let that twinkle in her eye become the twinkle on her finger.
Give her a diamond that shatters the air with knives of bright light.
Did you just make that up?
Yeah, I just made that up.
When you wear a diamond from Ramsey's Diamond Jewelers, you glitter when you walk.
Did you make that up?
No, I read it in a poem.
You read poems?
Ramsey's Diamond Jewelers is the largest diamond store in Louisiana on Veterans between Bonneville and West End and Metairie.
Clearwater Pools and Spas is your trusted locally owned pool and spa leader. Free water analysis 7 days a week, fully staffed parts and service, big selection of above ground pools and spas ready for delivery. Clearwater Pools and Spas, Covington, Metairie, Baton Rouge, Pearl, and Gulfport, Mississippi.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
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 Babbel. Évidemment. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
We're all on this planet.
Stand by.
So join Odyssey and find your one thing. Don't buy plastic toys for your pet. Instead, look for natural materials like cotton, rope, wood, or bamboo. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
All things legal on WWL. Consult with Nico and Sunseri now on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870. And don't forget to rewind on the Odyssey app.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. So switching gears, I guess probably 90% of what we've been talking about legally in the last 10 months has been Hurricane Ida issues. And we had another issue that popped up this week, Albert, and I'm just going to ask you to tell the listeners what to do. Southern Fidelity Insurance Company is the seventh insurance company that has gone into receivership, and they're an admitted carrier in Louisiana. And so there's a lot of policies that have Southern Fidelity. A lot of policy. They wrote a lot of rental policies. If you had rental property with a loss of use, loss of rents, and liability insurance for your rental properties, as well as a lot of residential policies. But what happens next? when your insurance company that you have a claim with goes into receivership and they're an admitted company?
Well, the fact that they're admitted is a very good thing. And what that means is every 6 months or every month or however often you pay your premium, or however often your insurance company, your mortgage company pays your premium, you will see on the bill Guarantee Association fee. And the companies that are admitted pay that every month, and they basically pay into the Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association's fund for this very purpose. So if a insurer goes bankrupt or can't pay their claims, then they turn those files over to the to LIGA, Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association, and LIGA handles those claims. And so it's a state-run organization, and the state will then take it over, and they will handle the claims and pay the claims. Now, the issue is you no longer, the downside is you no longer get penalties and attorney's fees awarded. This is strictly, hey, look, we're here to kind of make sure you get your damages paid, but we're not the party that may have necessarily created some sort of problem or delayed your claim, right? So there's not going to be statutorily any claims for bad faith, attorney's fees, or anything like that. So when you handle your claim moving forward, that's off the table. The other thing that's going to be somewhat difficult is because so many of these so many of these companies have gone bankrupt or into receivership, then the state has to ramp up, right? They have to go hire a bunch of adjusters to now come handle these claims, and they're pretty overwhelmed. So what that means is it's going to delay your claim even further because they quite simply don't have enough people to get the claims handled, transfer the claims, learn about the claims. And so, be patient.
We have one more break.
It's going to happen. The delays are going to happen. And so, the thing you want to do is try to find out who the contact person is with LIGA, who the new claims adjuster, where it's being assigned. At least make contact with that person so they'll know that, you're the squeaky wheel, perhaps, or you're the one that's interested in your claim. Let me go ahead and respond to that one. But it's a long process. In fact, years ago, I used to do some LIGA work for the state, not so much through hurricanes, but prior to Katrina, there were certain insurance companies that would just go out of business, liability companies, et cetera, and their claims would be turned over to LIGA, and we would represent LIGA through the state and in defense of their claims. So, it can still be done. For anybody out there who's listening to this program, I can't believe that anybody that does listen to this program does not at least have a lawyer or have their claim filed. But it's now time to file that lawsuit. Get that lawsuit filed. Get it into the system. Many of the courts have a mediation program. Many of them have a fast track, and so you want to get your claim filed and then get them paying another lawyer, and then they'll be like, gee whiz, we can spend all this money paying another lawyer to defend this, or we can put some more money on the claim and make it go away. So there are a lot of benefits to getting a suit filed and getting it moving, and the courts have made a concerted effort to help the citizens of Louisiana, Southeast Louisiana especially, get their claims prioritized and get their lawsuits prioritized, and so they can get them done quickly.
Okay, let's go to break. I'm going to follow up with some questions after the break on LIGA and some of the other aspects of going against LIGA that is different than your own insurance company that's not in the receivership. So we'll be right back after this brief time out. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, I'm Ron Darling.
And I'm Jimmy Rollins.
The official baseball rulebook is full of all sorts of strange rules.
But the unwritten rulebook is even weirder.
We each come from different eras, and we each were taught to play the game in different ways.
In this new podcast series, we're going to break down all of the unwritten rules that govern the game, from throwing out a batter to stealing bases during a blowout.
Check out Unwritten from Odyssey and MLB. New episodes start June 1st.
Find it on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Celebrating a century of broadcasting. For 100 years, WWL Radio has been here for you when it matters most. Here's another moment in history.
It was June of 2017.
We were sitting ducks. We had nothing to fight back with but bats.
A gunman walked onto a baseball field in Alexandria, Virginia, where Republicans were practicing for the congressional baseball game. When it was over, 5 people had been wounded, the most severely, Louisiana's GOP whip, Steve Scalise.
I found out later just how much damage was done internally. My femur was shattered and pelvis had serious damage where the bullet went through, and they did a phenomenal job of rebuilding Humpty Dumpty.
Scalise nearly died. The gunman fired off some 60 rounds before cops killed him.
This moment in history brought to you by Home Bank and Community Coffee. WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBosier Injury Lawyers. Call 504-444-4444. Non-attorney spokesperson, Chad Dudley, New Orleans.
Security is knowing that your payment was processed, your check deposited, your business handled. At Home Bank, we offer the technology you need to have peace of mind wherever you are. So go on, roam, wander. You have the freedom. With Home Bank's mobile app and account notifications, you'll never have to wonder what's happening with your money. We have the tech you expect and the service you deserve. For over 114 years, we've been good for business, good for life. Home Bank, member FDIC.
If you have Medicare, you deserve the best care and coverage available. But how do you know if your Medicare plan offers the quality you need? Check their Medicare
Do we have
star
any
rating.
callers?
The higher the stars, the better the quality.
No calls yet.
Okay.
People's Health has earned Medicare's highest rating, 5 out of 5 stars for 2022. Don't take my word for it. Take Medicare's. To learn more about People's Health Medicare plans, call 1-855-821-2666 or visit peopleshealth.com.
At Community Coffee, we didn't set out just to make great coffee. We set out to make something that would bring out the best in people, morning, noon, and night. And who wouldn't want to share a cup of that? Community Coffee. Find us at your local grocery or visit us at communitycoffee.com.
Gulf South. Brandon Holly here. Are you storm ready? Get prepared at reliefwindows.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're
we'll go live after Big Lou.
Porky and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou.
We've got 5 minutes to fill before the top of the hour news break.
Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-859-3220. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. For affordable term life, call 800-859-3220.
All things legal on WWL, AMFM.com, and the Odyssey app. Connect with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We're talking about another insurance company that went into receivership, Southern Fidelity Insurance Company, and the fact that their claims, thank goodness, are sued by Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association. But Albert, one of the things that you don't have when your claim goes with the Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association is the enforcement mechanism of not paying the claim timely and having that as a consideration as far as trying to negotiate a settlement. In other words, with your insurance company, if they have some penalty issues for not paying enough money soon enough in time, or they didn't process your claim properly and could be theoretically liable for penalties and attorney's fees. A lot of times they are a lot more maybe not nickel and diming on other issues because they understand their vulnerability as to possible penalties and attorney's fees if the claim continues to proceed. Whereas you don't have that leverage against Louisiana Insurance Guarantee Association, so therefore you have to probably take a little different tack with them as far as trying to resolve your claim.
That's absolutely true. And, unfortunately at that point, hey, look, at the end of the day, considering what's happening and considering the extent of this storm and the number of companies that kind of got burned, and the number of claims, fortunately, just be thankful that you are with an admitted company, and that, in the event of bankruptcy, you do at least have some coverage to fall back on through the Guarantee Association. And so, but again, you do lose that opportunity to have that hammer of, hey, you didn't pay me within 30 days, or because of that, I've suffered damages, et cetera. And so it's unfortunate, right? And it's been 9 or 10 months since the storm, and now all of a sudden you've got this happening to you. And so it's unfortunately, it's making things bad, going from bad to worse. But the good news is you do have a safety net with the Guarantee Association to hopefully have your claims paid. And I got a feeling, at least early on, that they're going to try to evaluate these things as quickly as they can and start making payments just by virtue of the fact that they want these files closed. And so, not to say that they will necessarily overpay them, but hopefully they'll be offering something close to what you're asking to make the claims disappear, so they can just get a hold of what they have.
That's what I'm telling people when they're, as far as expectations are concerned, as to when they may address your claim from an insurance company that's gone into receivership. As I said, think of it this way. Think if you're driving down a 50-lane highway that goes down to 1 or 2 lanes. What kind of traffic backup you're going to have? And I think you'll have the same type of dynamics as far as claims. It's just going to be a traffic backup until they can work it out. Now, again, the best way is to get in line first, as best you can. Develop a relationship with whoever's handling your claim, and be persistent, polite and persistent. And that's, you pretty much have to deal with LIGA on their timetable, as opposed to having a law requiring another timetable to be complied with in order to have your claim dealt with. So it's
and another quick option is to get an attorney involved and file a lawsuit.
Yes.
Because now all of a sudden your claim goes to the top because there's a lawsuit that's been filed. Yeah. And now an attorney that knows what's going on, knows the law, is going to pick it up and defend it on behalf of LIGA. And hopefully you can get to a resolution of it.
Okay. Stay tuned for national news, local news. We'll be back for hour number 2 in about 10 minutes. So see you then on All Things Legal for hour number 2.
Home of the Saints and LSU. WWL New Orleans, WWL FM and HD1 Kenner New Orleans, and Odyssey Station.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Capital One Bank.
I'm Linda Kenyon in Washington. U.S. health advisors say yes to COVID vaccines for children as young as 6 months. CBS News medical contributor Dr. David Agus calls it a good move.
The committee said the benefits clearly outweighed the risks, although there was risk, particularly in the Moderna vaccine, of myocarditis inflammation of the heart in a very, very small fraction of children, significantly less than seen with viral infection.
Vaccinations could start this week. Another retail establishment will soon be a union shop, this one outside of suburban Baltimore. Here's WTOP's Gigi Barnett.
Cheers from Apple Store workers at the Towson Town Center Mall last night following a final tally of their 2-to-1 vote to unionize. Their location is now the first Apple store in the country to get a union. Workers sent a letter last month to Apple CEO Tim Cook on their decision to unionize. Now the Apple Coalition of Organized Retail Employees, also called Apple Corps, wants more pay, fairness, and better COVID-19 safety.
Thousands of flight delays and cancellations have plagued travel plans, but why?
Delta pilots published an open letter to passengers blaming management, saying we've been working on our days off, flying a record amount of overtime to help you get to your destination.
CBS's Michael George. The San Antonio Express News reports police never tried to enter the classroom where that mass shooting occurred at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Here's KNS anchor Paul Anaya.
They were citing a law enforcement source close to the investigation. That source also told the Express News that police may have assumed that the doors were locked and the shooter could not have locked the doors from the inside.
Today is Juneteenth. It marks the official end of slavery in the U.S. Celebrations are happening around the country, including in San Diego.
We still have a lot of work to do as far as making sure everyone has access to the American dream, but the bottom line is it's really mind-boggling to think that 9 generations of my ancestors went through tremendous suffering.
This marks the second annual observance of Juneteenth as a federal holiday. Punishing heat returns this week, and for some, it never left.
By Wednesday, 25 million Americans will be under heat advisories that will last until early July. In the South, temperatures will soar into the triple digits, with some areas 25 degrees above normal. Scientists say climate change is fueling early heat waves.
CBS's Wendy Gillette. Growing concerns the war in Ukraine could last for years. The former defense minister says that's really up to the Russian president.
His goals are to destroy Ukraine. He has his own weird philosophy about that. He believes that Ukraine should not exist.
No fees or minimums and no overdraft fees are another reason banking with Capital One is the easiest decision. What's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-401-6681. Reputation Defender is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 for free advice on your situation. That's 800-401-6681.
WWL First News. I'm Dave Cohen on your official weather station, WWL.
Heat indices are expected to be between 108 to 112 degrees, and that means a heat advisory in effect for a good chunk of the area.
Your local weather expert, WWL TV meteorologist Michelle Morgan. Saturday in New Orleans saw 3 more people shot. A man died while another male victim and a woman were hospitalized with bullet wounds amid surging violent crime in the city. Louisiana lawmakers have gone home without satisfying a federal court order to create a second majority black congressional district in the state.
The legislature was tasked with redrawing our congressional district maps, but the session was dismissed without an agreement. The court battle over the issue wages on, and a federal judge is now set up to redraw the map.
WWL TV's Dennis Waltering. A West Bank juvenile lockup is getting help, as Michelle Southern reports from the WWL State Capitol Bureau.
Governor John Bel Edwards has announced there will be increased security starting immediately at the Bridge City Juvenile Detention Center in Jefferson Parish to avoid any more inmates escaping or overtaking those in command. The troubled facility had 5 juveniles escape last week, then SWAT had to be brought in Thursday night as guards had lost control of the center. The escaped juveniles are all back in custody. Edwards also announced the increased security by state police at the Swanson Center for Youth in Monroe.
North Shore authorities urging everyone to care properly for their pets in this extreme heat. St. Tammany deputies arrested a Mandeville area man this weekend after finding his dog dead on a tether outside with no water, no food, no shade, and no shelter. He faces cruelty charges, a felony. Some not so encouraging news on this Father's Day as we hear from WWL's David Grubb.
Pretty bad for dads in Louisiana, according to a new survey released by finance website WalletHub.com. The state ranks dead last when it comes to quality of life for working fathers. The survey examined 23 different indicators of friendliness towards working dads, and let's just say Louisiana is less than amicable.
Not just economic and social well-being, but work-life balance, childcare, health. Those last three really is where Louisiana struggled the most.
Jill Gonzalez, communications director for Wallet Hub, says the role of fathers
are changing, and Louisiana needs to keep up. Here's Sean Ross with WWL Sports.
First rounder Trevor Penning is putting in the work at OTAs. The 6'7" offensive tackle says, as a rookie, it's all about improving.
From college days, I mean, since then I've improved a ton. I mean, that's just what happens when you put in a bunch of time and effort into it and really focus on it. And now it's your full-time job, so you really got all day to really kind of, you don't have class to worry about, so you got all this time to really focus on one thing, and that's playing your best ball.
The Black and Gold drafted Penning 19th overall in the first round of this year's draft. And the SEC is showing up in Omaha. 4 of the 8 teams hail from the Southeastern Conference. Arkansas and Ole Miss will square off against each other Monday night after each winning their debut game over the weekend. Meanwhile, it's win or go home for Auburn and Texas A&M after falling in their College World Series opener. Sean Ross, WWL Sports.
Andrew Garcia Roofing Forecast.
Happy Father's Day. Temperatures climbing into the upper 90s today. It is going to feel like the triple digits, and heat advisory in effect for a good chunk of the area. An isolated shower or thunderstorm possible as we head into the afternoon hours. As we begin our work week, it's going to be another hot and humid day. For a
From WWL, the News Talk Sports Powerhouse of the Gulf South, it's All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico. Underwritten by Nico and Sunseri Law Firm. Join us on the Oakland Heart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870, or connect anytime, anywhere on the Odyssey app. Now, to our Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union studios in the heart of New Orleans, here are attorneys Albert Nico and Doug Sunseri.
Hey, we're back for hour number 2. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers. All things legal. Give us a call, 260-1870, or text us at the Oakland Heart Talk and Text line at 260-1870. And, got a text. Good morning. Happy Father's Day. A Saints question, which I would rather love to answer. Why did John Newcomb sell the Saints? I do have an answer for that one. For the first 15 years, John had gone through coaches, general managers who were astronauts, Dick Gordon, and he decided he's going to turn over the reins to his good friend Bum Phillips. They were very, very close friends. And I think Pat Pepler was the general manager at the time, and he said, gave him the keys and let him run. And in that third year, do you remember when Bum's third year, the Saints were playing for the playoffs? They were 8-7, and they played the LA Rams. It was the game that the Saints were on the 31 toward the end of the game. They were up by 2 points, and instead of having Morton Anderson kick a field goal to extend the lead, they punted. And it went in the end zone, and Los Angeles came down the field, kicked a 41-yard field goal at the end, and went to the playoffs. Do you remember that was the Bum's third year? Yeah. At that point, that broke John's heart. John Meekins' heart. And at that point, I thought that he was like, and then when he had to fire Bum quit. I think that was just.
I think Bum might have quit because they threw the beer on him. Remember that? He was walking that through the tunnel, and somebody threw a beer on him, and he thought, okay, I'm done.
This is enough. And I think he just now actually he had the opportunity to keep a majority ownership of the Saints and move it to Jacksonville in 1985. And his business advisors were saying that's a good deal. You ought to do that from a financial perspective. And he could not do that to the city of New Orleans. He said, I just couldn't, he indicated he couldn't bear to be a villain to New Orleans, which he would have been if he did that. His economic advisors told him to take the deal because he would get about a $40 or $50 million infusion of money, retain majority ownership, and go. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that to the city of New Orleans. And that's when he famously said, call the car salesman and see what he has to say. And the rest is history. But the reason why was it just broke his heart that when Trump couldn't win, things went south. He's just like, the expiration period has come, it's time to sell. And he bought it for $7 million and was going to sell it for $71 million or $72 million. And so that's that story.
There you go.
Also, would you sign Zion Williamson to a Supermax contract, or would you trade him for like 5 or 6 first-round picks and veteran players?
You know, that's a real good question because
we have our caller.
He hasn't shown a whole lot in the NBA as to what he can do and can he be that kind of player. He hasn't really stayed on the court. And so, you know, we don't want another Anthony Davis, right? I mean, they call him street clothes because he spends half of his seasons every season in street clothes because he gets some injury here or there. And, you know, that concerns me about a guy with foot injuries that, or you know, that weighs 300 pounds. It's like when Boogie Cousins tore his Achilles. You know, he rehabbed it and whatever else. He's just never the same. You know, he's got all that weight on that Achilles, and so he's gonna lose a great degree of balance. He's gonna lose a great degree of explosion. You know, quickness. So if somebody's driving to the basket, all of these things go when your feet have trouble. And you know, I would talk really, really long and hard with orthopedics, orthopedic surgeons, and see what this foot looks like, and can it be rehab to the point where he's 100%.
Well, it looks like they're going to sign him, and from all indications, and that will, I guess, determine the direction of the Pelicans, probably short term and long term in the city. Now, this draft for the Pelicans is sort of, drafting eighth, but they really don't have any needs, like pressing needs to stay. And I think that for the draft, the issue is, do we pick someone who's not ready but might have, for the immediate impact, but have more upside? Or do we pick someone who can come in and play now but maybe not have as much upside? Last draft, they picked 2 guys who had, who played throughout their college career, didn't leave early. Herb Jones played 4 years at Alabama, and my gosh, he was the steal of the entire draft last year in the entire NBA. And their first round pick had a very extended college career, and he came in contribution. So the big issue will be, do we pick someone who's got a big upside, but we might have to sit him for 2 or 3 years, much like Jackson Hayes. He has a big upside that's made limited contribution. Or do we get someone right away? So
well, ideally, if you can trade a player or 2 and some draft picks and get a pure shooter, right? Because somebody that could stand at the 3-point line and fill it up. I mean, obviously, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are outliers, right? But the fact is, if you can get somebody that you can kick the ball out to, that opens up the middle for Zion. That opens up the middle. Valanciunas, when you can spread the floor like that, people can't double team. and clog up the middle. They've got to respect those shooters. And I don't think, with the exception of perhaps Brandon Ingram, that we have that. Who's that?
Trey Murphy, the pick last year.
Yeah, Trey Murphy again, right? And I'm not a big fan of picking great shooters out of college because it's a whole different 3-point line. It's a whole different set of muscle memory. Those guys that might have had a great 3-point career in college, all of a sudden you're shooting 5 feet back, and it's a longer shot. It's not that they can't get there, but they don't transition right away to that. Anyway, that's my take on it. I'm not a big fan of paying anybody $180 million. I mean, it's just it makes everybody else on the team jealous. He's the star. He's the one that's promoted. It'll sell some tickets. It'll make sure that people around the country want to come watch that game. But is it really best for the team? That's the question. Because since he's gotten here, he's limped. He's got that little limp in his gait.
$180 million is a fraction of what George Finn bought the Charlotte Hornets for back 20 some odd years ago. So that gives you perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's go to phone lines. Let's go to Jack. He's got a question regarding the recent commercial by Jim Donlon. Hey, Jack, you're on All Things Legal. How can we help you?
I need all the help I can get. I'm avoiding the 114 heat index. I'm staying inside.
I keep seeing Jim Donlon with these commercials. Something to the effect that if you don't feel like the insurance company is treating you right after Hurricane Ida, you call us. We'll go to bat for it. And I'm trying to understand that. What does he do to get justice to the insured that attorneys did?
Well, I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that he's necessarily going to go to bat for you. What he's going to do is set up a mediation program, which is already set up. Any claims less than $50,000. And what you do is you contact them. You will go to your mediation. They're going to go, they're going to get their lawyer or their claims adjuster, and they'll sit down and have a mediation, maybe by Zoom. They're out of town, or they might appoint somebody locally, and then try to work out your case for you. Mediator has no final authority like an arbitrator would, right? Arbitrator makes the decision, and that becomes final. Whereas a mediator, will just go back and forth in different rooms and say, well, look, they want to offer you this. I think you ought to take it. You're having problems with the receipt, you don't have it, whatever, and vice versa. If that's the route you want to take, the problem with that is if you've never been to a mediation and if you've never, you don't have your ducks in a row for your claim and everything you need for your satisfactory proof of loss, you're going to have a tough time at mediation convincing the other side that you should be paid more money. And so you would need some sort of representation there, I would think. But I mean, if you want to go it alone, that's totally up to you.
Well, with mediation, it's not binding arbitration.
Right.
Correct.
What has the outcome been to the advantage of insured people when they
I'll speak, I'll let Albert comment. We settle probably about a 95% deviation rate in insurance claims, or around 95%. It's very successful for us. Now, we do have the claim set up in a way that it can be mediated. Albert, what do you think?
Well, yeah, but we ended up probably doing a lot of that towards the end. And I know I got a feeling that, some people just kind of wait to the last minute. That happened for Katrina. We filed hundreds and hundreds of lawsuits in the month prior to the prescription date or the statute of limitations date, the 2-year anniversary of Katrina, because so many claims were still unresolved. And once that 2-year period runs by, you're done. And so people came in and, some of them were $10,000 claims. Some of them were, million-dollar claims, and we filed many, many lawsuits. And many of those, the vast majority, we either sat down with the adjuster, like I recall, Allstate adjuster and State Farm, a number of different adjusters, they would come into our office and bring 10 files. Okay, we've got these 10 with you. Let's see if we can get them resolved. And so, of course, we would call the insured and say, hey, look, our clients, and say, hey, this is what they want to offer. Here's where we are. It seems like it's a pretty good offer. They've got some defenses on the penalties. I think if we go to trial, we may not get a whole lot more. There's a value to closure, right, to getting another check and putting it behind you. So all of those things get factored in and considered. But the good news is you will have somebody there representing you, knowing the law, knowing the policy language, knowing what's covered, what's not covered, and being your advocate, right? So I got to say, it's 10 months later. People still have blue tarps in their roofs. People still haven't settled their claims. It's time to hire a lawyer and go ahead and file suit. And then all of a sudden, your claim will get a lot of attention.
What's the deadline on this auto?
It's 14 months to file a lawsuit.
Yeah.
It's April 29, 2023. I mean, August 29, 2023. August 29, 2023.
Correct.
So you have a that date, that month, and year.
Yeah, you got 2 years from the hurricane. Is to file a
lawsuit.
Yes. All right, Jack. Yes, real quick. Gotta go break. Yeah.
You there?
Yeah.
Okay. What is your fee to enter into this mediation for the insurance?
Just call us at our law firm at 504-837-1304. And Albert, generally what they'll do is, if it's just for the meet, it's usually a percent. You'll have to discuss that because that's a case by case basis. Is that Albert? 504-837-1304. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's go to break. Sorry, Albert Nico, Weekend Lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
Every of our caller holding, his name is Brad. He's from Algiers. Harmless expanding the parent web. We talk to people who listen with their families, and of course, our country. Wake up the conversations that matter to you on the station that is all about you. WWL.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take 10 or 15 minutes, and they're 3 weeks presto.
We'll be going live after Keith's AC and Heating. It's a short one.
Just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers. So you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris. The conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way, man.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
We're all on this planet together. So join Odyssey and find your one thing. Cut up six-pack rings and reduce your use of plastic to help keep it out of our waterways and oceans. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a cleaner tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Here's to the lucky few who managed to find their soulmate. That one person who listens, understands, and laughs at your jokes, even the bad ones. That person who deserves nothing less than that. An award-winning engagement ring from the Massive Investment Open Heart Jewelry. The Open Heart Ring is a passionate about a vast selection of logical engagement beats in all the most popular styles. No matter what your price range, we have the best for less. We're constantly searching the world diamond market for the most beautiful diamond you'll ever see. We buy direct, always getting the lowest possible prices. Plus, we offer interest-free financing. Listen to what Bradley Covington said in his online review. Selecting a diamond can be overwhelming. Oakland above and beyond makes this easy process. Peru is absolutely beautiful. My fiance couldn't be happier. Brad knew that before he got down on one knee, he needed to get down to open heart jewelers on Puerto Rico. Why? There's a great work of art in every box from Open Heart.
Something extraordinary is happening right now at Diamond Direct. You can make any purchase for nothing down. Zero interest financing for 5 whole years. Imagine a $10,000 designer ring or diamond bracelet for less than $107 a month. Zero down, zero interest for 5 years on anything. You can't miss this limited time offer. You can finance the entire purchase price, including the sales tax. Now through June 30th at Diamond Direct. Get details, store hours, and more at diamonddirect.com.
And we've been providing great professional service. And right now, we're taking all professional steps as well as all state and CDC measures to give you the best, safest experience possible. So fast, take it easy. Call me. And now, electrical.
Now, more All Things Legal, underwritten by Nico and Sunseri Law Firm. All advice given and opinions shared are solely those of attorneys Albert Nico and Doug Sunseri. Back to WWL.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Before I get to a text, I'm going to ask Albert and we get to Brad. He's on the phone. A Father's Day tradition is watching the U.S. Open. If you're an LSU fan, Sam Burns, LSU grad, three strokes behind it, one under. So for all you LSU fans, we can go Tigers, and good luck to Sam. Albert, got a text. It's asked, does Liger honor replacement coverage? Replacement cost coverage.
It follows your policy. Yes, it follows your policy. So if you have replacement cost coverage, it'll follow whatever the policy is. So it's it is what it is, and like I said, you kind of lose that hammer, but you're still able to make your claim, and there's still a fail safe for it. So again, I know a lot of tens of thousands of people are scrambling for new coverage now. And one thing you want to be certain when you do sign up for that policy is that you have an admitted carrier. Be sure to tell your agent, I want an admitted carrier. I want somebody or some company that is protected from receivership with the Guarantee Association. And so be sure that's part of your request. And again, I know we've done this in the past, but from a financial standpoint, if you know your deductible's $5,000, not a bad idea to try to put $100 a month aside or whatever you can afford for a separate account. So if something does happen and you need a new roof, you'll be able to make up that difference on the deductible from that account and not be stuck without it.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to Brad. Got a question regarding a hold harmless agreement. Hey, Brad, you're on All Things Legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm one of those homeowners with a roof issue. And I learned recently that actually someone I totally respect and had no problem going on my roof individually to fix the roof. But it turns out that his crews don't have insurance. And so, but they presented me with a hold harmless contract that they did with someone else. And so I wanted to find out, is it a good idea? What elements should be in it? Can it apply to the workers under their LLC? And what would the insurance company respond to that?
Absolutely not. You don't hold them harmless for anything. They're getting up there. They're working on your roof. Now, was this the roofing contractor that wanted you to sign a hold harmless, or was it the subcontractor?
Oh wow, you're bringing up a whole other thing. Yeah, subcontractors. That's interesting. No, what I expressed, what I learned in talking with them is, I said, well, you got new crews, because all these roofers, they got like new crews of people because they got so much work.
Right.
And they've worked with them maybe for a certain length of time, and they trust them, but I have this kind of fear that one of them's going to fall off my roof, and then I'm having to pay up a big bill. And so no, he said, well, one of my clients came up with this hold harmless contract, and it just stipulated that they, under their LLC, and they hold each other harmless in case of injury on working on the job, on the particular job.
They hold you harmless, or you hold them harmless?
Well, actually, that contract was holding both. It was it's not unilateral; it would be reciprocal, I guess.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
You can take that piece of paper and put it on your toilet paper roll and use it, because that's all it's worth for.
Oh God!
So basically, you need insurance, because what happens is, if a worker gets hurt on the job, you're responsible for it, or the homeowner is. And after Katrina, we had several cases with uninsured roofers who were illegal aliens, undocumented workers. I can't say I guess I got to say undocumented workers now, who sued the homeowner because the general contractor who was employing them did not have workers' comp insurance. And it was a bad deal, because one of the individuals who sued took their life savings to invest in rental property for their retirement income. And that was in jeopardy because of the workers who, in fact, the general contractor did present an insurance certificate. It turned out to be
falsified.
Expired. Yeah, it was expired. It was actually issued, but they didn't pay the premium, so it was expired during the policy period. So when you have roofers working on your property, you better be sure that they're insured. And a piece of paper isn't going to help you the least bit. And Albert, if you could, again, elaborate on the importance of insurance.
Well, again, yeah. So even if they present you with a certificate of insurance, the lesson learned is contact the agent. There will be an agent who wrote that policy, and contact that agent and say, listen, I received the certificate of insurance from XYZ Roofing Company. I want to make sure this policy is in full force and effect before I go ahead and employ them. And they'll look it up and say, oh, no, they didn't pay the premium. Sorry, it's canceled. Or, we don't even have a policy for that guy. It's they made it up. Or they might say, yeah, it's full force and effect. They have workers' comp. That's a very, very important thing, especially if you got like a 2-story roof that somebody could fall off and really hurt themselves. You have to be sure that there's workers' comp coverage, liability coverage. It just if the roof leaks and water pours all over the ceiling and all down the walls after the roof's been repaired, you want to make sure that general contractor, the roofing contractor, has liability insurance, which then you can go after that company to make the repairs, to more than just the roof. Yeah, and then the insurance company is not going to make the repairs to the roof, but they'll repair the damages. So it's the poor. So many homeowners are in such a bad situation because they may not have gotten paid enough money to get the work done. B, maybe they did get enough, or they have enough savings to cow in together with their insurance proceeds and get the work done. And now all of a sudden, who's going to do the work? Because the contractors are at such a premium. They're just hiring anybody and everybody to get it done. So you end up with a lot of times with shoddy workmanship, no insurance coverage, and they got a cell phone and a truck, and they're from Tennessee, and you'll never see them again. So it's just important to make sure you get that done, and make sure that they have insurance. Yes.
So that's wonderful advice, and you've eliminated one contractor. So I'm looking at liability coverage for the contractor, and I'm looking for workers' comp coverage.
Correct.
For the contractor and the workers, right?
Correct. And you want to just make that extra phone call, right? Make that phone call to the agent to say, hey, I want to just confirm that this policy is still in force and effect for the workers' comp and the liability. And they'll confirm it hadn't been canceled.
See, there's a reason why unlicensed roofers who don't have insurance come in cheaper on their bids. It's because they don't have to pay that overhead. And a lot of licensed contractors get very upset with it, rightfully so, because they're doing everything right. We have an unlicensed roofer who doesn't have insurance using undocumented workers to do it on the cheap. Sure, they're going to come in low on their bids. And, but that's the risk of it. And when you're dealing with roofs, that is the highest liability for workers' comp accidents than any probably trade. Because you're working, 15, 20, 25 feet high on a slope, which is dangerous to begin with. So you're really taking a lot of risk if you're having uninsured workers working on your house, especially on a roof. All right.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate you. I'll listen. You started to answer that other question I had regarding replacement coverage, which I gladly have, but I'm one of those who lost their insurer, and it's been replaced. But I guess I'm going to be in line in the Liga.
Yes.
Getting the rest of Liga, yeah.
You'll be in a traffic jam, yes.
Yeah. Well, happily, I got most of the money, but then, of course, I got to, because I had this one contractor who, had an extraordinary, it looked like they had all the certificates, although calling the insurance company, I didn't know that, and that's really useful advice. I'm going to do that. I got someone who's bid extraordinarily. I'm going to have to take a second mortgage in order to afford the roof, pretty much.
Sure. Yeah.
And but they have the certificates apparently, whereas the original person who I trusted, they don't have anything, and they acknowledged it. I mean, they're honest about it. But I just, you've answered my questions.
Yeah, well,
I really appreciate your show.
They're being honest about breaking the law, so.
Oh, wow.
Because you need insurance.
Is that breaking the law?
Yes, it is. You need insurance if you're going to do a job. Or you need a license if you're over $7,500 of doing work, and you need to be, in order to get a license, you need to be insured. So yeah, they're being extremely straightforward and honest about them not complying with the law.
Wow. All right. Thank you so much. A lot of food for thought, and definitely you saved me some heartache, although expense, well, anyway, it's okay.
All right, well, good. Nico and Sunseri, complex, understandable. How about that? All right, let's go to a break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief time out.
WWL.com has everything you're looking for on a trusted local news website.
Hey, line's clear. Hey, Dad. Our line's clear. Okay.
We're waiting on some more.
Okay, gotcha.
Today. Hurricane victims, Mike here from Clear Claim. You probably heard about us by now. Some might have even called and gotten help, but some of you haven't. Well, the other night, my family watched a movie we hadn't seen in forever. It was The Godfather. You know, with the famous line everyone knows about making an offer they can't refuse. Sorry about the accent, but that's what dawned on me. That's what we do every day. Never thought of it like that. We literally have an offer you can't refuse. That's why we end up handling so many claims. And then I had that aha moment of,
Why, some of you haven't called yet. Anyway, I have less than 60 seconds on the radio to explain all that. Let's have a 5-minute conversation I bet you won't regret. Basically, there's lots of tactics used to keep from fully paying you from the insurance companies. We stop all that. There's zero risk. Call us for an evaluation. Let us put in the time and money needed to increase your claim while you sit back and reap the rewards. Call us 504-500-3000. Clear claim 504-500-3000.
Security is knowing that your payment was processed, your check deposited, your business handled. At Home Bank, we offer the technology you need to have peace of mind wherever you are. So go on, roam, wander. You have the freedom. With Home Bank's mobile app and account notifications, you'll never have to wonder what's happening with your money. We have the tech you expect and the service you deserve. For over 114 years, we've been good for business, good for life. Home Bank, member FDIC.
WWL wants to send you on a rock and roll 4th of July weekend. Win tickets to see Poison in concert, plus a 2-day stay at the world-class Pearl River Resort in Choctaw, Mississippi. You'll also get $250 in play money for the casino, a $100 cash gift card for your road trip, and pay for two at the award-winning steakhouse. Fill up in. Register now at WWL.com. It'll be nothing but a good time with Poison from Pearl River Resort and WWL.
Every day, thousands of children require the kind of care that only children's hospitals can provide. Members of Children's Miracle Network hospitals treat more than 10 million children each year. Your local member hospital ensures that every child receives the best possible care. Kids can't wait. Help fulfill their most urgent needs by visiting cmnhospitals.org. Donate and show your support for your local member hospital by visiting cmnhospitals.org.
So how many adjusters has your insurance company assigned to your Hurricane Credit claim? 3, 4, 5? Has your adjuster stopped returning your calls? How many of your emails have been ignored? If this all sounds too familiar, then maybe it's time for you to take the next step. This is Albert Nico with the Nico and Sunseri Law Firm in Metairie. You've paid homeowners insurance premiums for years. You deserve to be paid what you're entitled to. When you finally had enough, call me, Albert Nico, at 504-837-1304. I'm ready to help you finally get your claim paid.
Clearwater Pools and Spas is your trusted, locally owned pool and spa leader. Free water analysis 7 days a week, fully staffed parts and service, big selection of above-ground pools and spas ready for delivery. Clearwater Pools and Spas, Covington, Metairie, Baton Rouge, Pearl, and Gulfport, Mississippi.
The Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation is celebrating 100 years as the voice of Louisiana agriculture, working towards grassroots leadership to ensure a safe and abundant supply of food, fiber, and fuel. Become a Louisiana Farm Bureau member today at lafarmbureau.org.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-859-3220. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 to 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy could only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like
you. Except he is only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-859-3220. That's 800-859-3220.
$1 million in term life insurance that you can win. Call Big Lou at 800-859-3220. 800-859-3220.
Stand by. Unlock every angle with coverage from the BetQL network. Get ahead of the game with early morning betting trends, game recaps, pick predictions, and more from the Daily Kick. Unlock the best bets for each game with BetQL Daily, and you better you bet. And get live reactions to the biggest final moments with BetMGM tonight. Listen on the Odyssey app or watch live and on demand on Twitch.
All things legal with Doug Sunseri and Albert Nico on WWL and Odyssey Station. Connect now on the Oakland Hart Jewelers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Albert, I have a fact scenario that I want to run by you that has to do with hurricane repair and with some of the issues there. Had a few clients a couple of weeks ago who were doing their roof repair in the middle of the roof repair as they had that the big rainstorm, and the interior of their home was, again, a portion of it was saturated because the roof was in progress, use repairs, and they were not closed up. Rain came in and resaturated parts of the house. And, the question was, do we claim those additional damages on the old insurance claim? Do we claim it on a new claim? Do we claim it against the roofer? What are some of the issues there?
Well, as we discussed in the last segment, hopefully that roofer had general liability coverage. If that's the case, and you can document the new damages, right? So in other words, if you had some of the interior then you'll be able to go after the new carrier and file suit against that contractor and that contractor's insurance company. And hopefully that will, help you get paid. Now, if I'm defending that lawsuit on behalf of the contractor, I get information about the estimates and adjusters reports, whatever you may have submitted to your insurance carrier. So, if you're already claiming that the ceilings in all the rooms needed to be replaced and the flooring needed to be replaced, well, what were your damages, right? That water got in, maybe some sort of loss of use because it might take another week or so to get that water out. But, again, I would go after the roofing contractor's insurance company and make sure that was done, give them the opportunity to come fix it. And if they can't fix the roof or complete the roof, then I would certainly get someone else in there to go ahead and put the roof on. Because once they touch it, once they do the tear off, they're responsible for it. They're responsible for keeping it covered, keeping it secured until they can put the roof back on. I would go after the insurance company. Again, there's no deductible, right? It's strictly a claim against the roofer's insurer. So you avoid that big deductible, from going after your own insurance company.
Second question. There have been a lot of homeowners who have not been paid for their roof yet. And they're in dispute or in litigation over that issue, but their roof is still somewhat exposed from Hurricane Ida.
Yeah.
And a lot of homeowners are calling saying, should we replace our roof? It is clearly damaged. They have areas that are vulnerable. However, the insurance company has not paid for those damages, but they're coming into hurricane season. What is the advice to a homeowner in that situation?
Well, I would think that the insurance company at least has had one opportunity to review the roof. What I would do is get a Louisiana licensed qualified roofer, pay them a few $100 to get up on that roof, take as many photographs as you can to establish why that roof needs to be replaced, and not just the cost to replace. That's only half the battle. The other battle is the fact that it needs to be replaced because of Hurricane Ida. Take pictures inside the gutters to show all the granules that have piled up in the gutter. Take pictures of, lift up the roof and see if the seal pads have been broken. Take as many photographs as you can, and then go ahead and get your roof replaced. And now you have an expert that can go in and say not just how much it's going to cost, but why it needed to be replaced.
But here's my second question. The homeowner is concerned that during this process, you got hurricane season coming up, and they want, I have an exposed roof.
Mm-hmm.
And what will be the consequences if you have another storm and the water gets into the areas that were exposed before that the insurance company didn't pay for?
Well, again, so your insurance company is going to say, hey, look, we paid you to patch your roof. We paid you to fix those areas that are missing shingles. We didn't pay you for your whole roof, but we paid you for this part of the roof. And so if they can establish that damages occurred below that section, they're probably not going to pay you. And so, hey, look, we gave you money for your repairs minus your deductible. it was then incumbent upon you to get the repairs done. And if you didn't do the repairs, you thought you needed a new roof. Well, that's not our problem. Now if a new storm comes and rips the rest of the roof off, then you've got more of a dispute. But at this point, I think it's time, if you can afford it, put a new roof on, because you got hurricane season coming, and it's too important. And listen, if you can afford it, also they have new shingles with a reinforced nailing strip. I lost a few shingles on my roof, and the shingles came off in complete pieces, and then had holes where the nails were. And so it just basically, the nails ripped through the nailing strip. Well, now they have a reinforced nailing strip where when you nail the nail into that nailing strip, if the nail stays into the roof, the nailing strip will hold that nail head will hold the nailing strip down to the roof. And so it might be another $1,000 more, $1,500 more for your roof, but it might avoid it being ripped off in the next 30 years.
All right. Let's go to our final break. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. We'll be right back after this brief comment.
Right now, new customers get $200 free bet guaranteed. When you place your first $5 bet, you sign up with the promo code AGUS to get in on the action. Then you let you bet the money line, boomer talk. Okay, that's like 5 minutes to fill before top of the hour into the fifth. You can build out a single parlay by doing light or your own bet corner. Now, who's going to hit a home run in the game? How many strikeouts the pitcher will get? If you haven't called FanDuel, now is the perfect time to give it a shot. Just join the promo code AGUS at AGUS and turn a $5 bet into $200 in free bet, win or lose. Exclusively on FanDuel Sportsbook app. FanDuel Sportsbook, official partner of WWL Radio.
21 plus and present in Louisiana. Permitted parishes only. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required.
Michelle.
Bonus non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. WWL is proudly sponsored by Dudley DeBoser Injury Lawyers. Call 504-444-4444. Non-attorney spokesperson, Chad Dudley, New Orleans.
Smoking cigarettes is the leading cause of preventable deaths in the United States. If you're a Louisiana resident who is ready to quit smoking, now is the time to commit to quit. The deadline to enroll for free smoking cessation services through the State Smoking Cessation Trust is July 11th. Stop smoking. Start living. Visit oxford.org/quit for more information and to sign up for free smoking cessation support today. Must be a Louisiana resident.
Are you a business owner doing your own bookkeeping? Why? It makes no sense, literally. Focus on what you do well, like growing your business, and let Accounting Services Unlimited handle your bookkeeping. Hi, I'm Thomas Barnett. Accounting Services Unlimited and will come to you. Accounting Services Unlimited, 504-717-6253. That's 717-6253.
Check what matters most, maybe the fire and over alarm, security systems, monitoring, automation, and cameras in your home or business. Make sure you're connected at an affordable price. Call ABC today, 389-9795. Hey, Slidell, we want your stuff. DependableStorage.com. I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, so you're speaking another language. Like nothing.
I love the Babbel lessons like these robots. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers. You learn how to have real-world conversations, so actually use them.
3 weeks. It's incredible. After 3 weeks, I'm on vacation in Paris, having a conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn.
Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher. If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
We're all on standby together. So join Odyssey and find your one thing. Don't buy plastic toys for your pet. Instead, look for natural materials like cotton, rope, wood, or bamboo. Join Odyssey, and together each of us doing one thing makes a greater tomorrow. What's your one thing?
All things legal on WWL. Consult with Nico and Sunseri now on the Oakland High Schoolers Talk and Text line, 504-260-1870. And don't forget to rewind on the Odyssey app.
Hey, we're back. Doug Sunseri, Albert Nico, your weekend lawyers, all things legal. Nico and Sunseri Law Firm, we make the complex understandable. You can call us at our law firm at 504-837-1304, 504-837-1304 for any questions or Hurricane insurance questions, or North Shore at 985-624-9697. Got a couple of minutes, Albert. What do dads like to do on Father's Day, generally?
What do dads like to do? Well, when it's 115-degree heat index, stay inside is my first guess. Welcome to Southeast Louisiana. Hope your air conditionings are all up and running. Obviously, the traditional barbecue stuff. Some people like to go to the beach. We're actually going to visit a friend in Waveland. So, we're going to go hang out there for a little bit and head on back to the house. But, the typical stuff. Shout out to all my brothers and brothers-in-law and friends, that are good dads. They take care of their kids. Their kids come first. They're good role models for them. Quick story. You remember the show Later with Bob Costas? He used to come on at like 11:30 or midnight, and he would be a 30-minute interview with one sports figure, right? So I'm watching it one night, and it was John Wooden, right, the coach from UCLA who won, 11 championships or something like that. Just a true gentleman, a lot older man. But basically, Costas asked me, "What is your philosophy?" And I committed it to memory, actually. He said, I read this in a book somewhere, but he said, it's a little poem. It says, "No written word or spoken plea can teach a child what he should be, nor all the books on all the shelves, but what the teachers are themselves." And basically, it's a challenge to all of us as fathers, mothers, whomever, mentors, to be a good example for our children. Don't be the do as I say, not as I do dad. Be the dad that walks the walk and talks the talk as well. And be that role model for them and give them an example of someone close by that they might want to emulate.
There you go. Now, another thing I want to give credit to the Nico fathers and the Nico family is they're very virile. I mean, because they have produced a lot of offspring. They're all over Walmart. They're all over anywhere you go. So
we want to make sure that the earth doesn't have population problems. So.
Yeah, that's right. Well, the Nicos have contributed to continuing to keep this world properly populated.
There you go.
Such population. The Nico family opposes that concept that there's overpopulation. So happy Father's Day to the virile Nico family, whose fathers
Thank you very much.
Done a wonderful job.
Tell your dad happy Father's Day too. Tell your dad happy Father's Day too.
Frank, I'm very blessed to have had my father for 60 years, and he's going strong. He's go see him at the World War II Museum on Thursdays. He works there, and he's retired, but he stays busy. Great father, and I've been very, very lucky. And he's a lot
Heck of a guy.
Humor, so he's a kick. So happy Father's Day, my brother Dean, brother-in-law Polly, son-in-law Ben. He'll be a future father. Happy Father's Day. And y'all have a great day. Enjoy yourself, and we'll see you next week on All Things Legal. See you next week. God bless.